Yo! What's going on, YouTube? It's me, Tate, back with another video today. As you can see behind me, I'm going to be talking about the national championship game today. Clemson, LSU. Let me know who y'all got in the comments. Drop who you think is going to win the game and what you think the score is going to be. Today, I'm just going to get in a little bit of analytics. Nothing too serious stuff you can find on the internet. I'm just going to give you my opinions on a position-by-position basis, who I think's got the edge at what matchups I like, and what I think the final score is going to be. So coming into this game, LSU was 14-0, undefeated, haven't been beat. In the last 3 or 4 games, haven't come close to getting beat. 14-0. Last win was OU in the Peach Bowl, a playoff game, 63-28. Total dominance from whistle to whistle. Wasn't ever in question. LSU dominated. It's fun to watch them play offense. If you're an offensive football guy, watch LSU. They're going to score. They're going to make exciting plays. They're going to make incredible catches. Edwards-Helaire is going to make some great runs. Burrow's going to make some great runs. So if you like offense, watch LSU. The spread going in this game is Clemson's getting 5.5. I think that's about right. Over under 69.5. That's about right. So I mean, Vegas is Vegas for a reason. Coming to this game, Clemson's also undefeated, 14-0. They've had a couple slip-ups. They almost got beat by North Carolina early in the year. They had a great game that came down to the last play against Ohio State. Man, that was a good game, guys. I'd love to recap it. But that's not why we're here. So, they beat Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl 29-23. Trevor Lawrence had a great day running the ball. ETN was electric out the backfield. Great game. All right, so let's break this down position by position. Starting with quarterback, because that's the money position, right? Everybody likes to talk about the quarterback position. LSU's got the Heisman winner, Joe Burrow. 5,200 yards this year, 55 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And all I can say is, wow. How far has Joe Burrow come since last year? Did you guys know that in the month of October last year, Joe Burrow threw 1 touchdown the entire month? And that was to the Florida Gators. He didn't throw a touchdown to his own team. Joe Brady came in there, and he deserves a lot of the credit. Burrow, of course, has always had the talent. I mean, you don't just get talent overnight. He's always had the talent. Brady came in there and turned that offense around. He likes to throw the ball around. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year Joe Burrow would have 5,200 yards, 55 touchdowns, and won the Heisman, I would have laughed in your face, as a lot of you would have. So an incredible season. Hats off to Joe Burrow. Trevor Lawrence, we all know what he's about. He's a gamer. 24, 25-0, something like that as a starter. Some ridiculous number. Didn't lose a lot in high school. The guy's a born winner. He's thrown for 3,400 yards, 36 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So not quite the numbers Burrow has. But in a lot of these games, he didn't play in the second half. They weren't challenged a lot this year. He didn't face the best defenses either. So you can look at it from that angle. So with that being said, who do I think has the edge at quarterback? Got to go LSU. Burrow's played in big games. Trevor Lawrence has played in big games. That's a wash. They both got great arms. They're both good pre-snap reading defenses. That's a wash. Running the ball, I think they're both pretty mobile. That's probably a wash there. The reason I give Burrow the edge is because he's the talent he's faced this season. Week in and week out, he was tested by some of the best defenses in the country and still came out with, 5,200 yards. That's ridiculous, guys. So, with that being said, I'm giving the edge to Joe Burrow and LSU. Running back. This is interesting. LSU's got Edwards-Helaire, 1,304 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns, 6.6 a pop. So, those are pretty good stats. I mean, nothing to hang your head about there for sure. Clemson's got Travis Etienne, and I think, in my opinion, this is the best back in the country. Catch the ball out the backfield, he can block, electric and open field, can run you over. He can do everything you need a running back to do. So, Etienne this year had 1,536 yards and less carries than Edwards-Helaire had the 1,300 yards. 18 touchdowns, and this is my big stat. He averages 8 yards a rush. That's unreal, guys. He leads the country in that. If he had the carries that Edwards-Helaire had, that J.K. Diamonds had, that Jonathan Taylor had, he would have won the Heisman this year. I'm telling you how it is. That's the truth. He's the best running back in the country. DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor, Chuba Herbert, they're all close seconds. They're all great backs, but I like ETN the best. So with that being said, as you can tell, I'm giving the edge to Travis Etienne and Clemson. All right, O-line. I'm not going to talk about O-line a whole lot just because I think the O-line, it's more of an eye test for me. I can look at the stats all day, but when it comes down to it, I have to give Clemson the nod here just by the eye test. LSU's allowed 30 sacks. Clemson's allowed 16 sacks. Yeah, but who have they played? I know. We keep harping on it. But just by the eye test, I think Clemson may have had the best offensive line in the playoff. Oklahoma by far had the worst. LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, they're all pretty decent offensive line. But I don't think the offensive line is going to play that big of a factor because these guys can make things happen in the pocket. They can extend plays, and you're not going to cover the receivers all day, I promise you. We're getting to the receivers are next. I saved them for last on offense. All right, so I'm going to give my edge to Clemson. Just because, eye test. Receiver. This may be the best group of receivers to ever play in a college football playoff national championship game. And I say may, but I mean they are. From one side, you got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And the other side, you got T. Higgins and Justin Ross. All potential first-round picks when they declare or enter the draft. From LSU side, receiving the football, catching the football, they've had 5,500 yards this year. Clemson has had 4,100 yards. Like I said, but Clemson's had more yards rushing. So they're probably around equal, total yards on the season. As a whole, I think LSU's receivers are a little bit better playmakers in open field. And I go back to it again. I know I'm saying it over and over, but they've played, I feel, better defensive backs than Clemson's faced all year. And it may not mean anything. Clemson may come out here and wipe out LSU. They may come out here and burn them every play. Justin Ross may catch 4 touchdowns. But I don't see it happening. I think LSU's receivers are going to have a big day. I look for Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase to have huge days. So I'm going to go with LSU on that one. All right, as far as offense goes, I look at one stat very closely when I'm making my predictions for these games, and that's turnovers. Turnovers can kill drives. You can have all the momentum in the world, and then one turnover, bam, that's a 14-point swing potentially. So turnovers, there is a reason both these teams are in the championship game. They don't turn the ball over a lot. LSU with 12 on the year in 14 games. Clemson with 16 in 14 games. So they're right around that one and some change turnovers per game. Good teams don't turn the football over, and good teams capitalize when the other team turns the ball over. So we'll get to that in a minute too. So LSU has 4 less turnovers than Clemson this year. And like I said, probably against a lot better competition. On defense, I think these are 2 pretty good defenses coming into this game. Overall, I'd probably give the edge to Clemson. I think they got a little better defense all around. On defensive line, LSU comes in with 35 sacks on the season. Clemson with 41. Not a big discrepancy there. Again, they've probably played a little bit lesser opponents. Clavon Chasen leads LSU with 6.5 sacks. LSU's also given up 118 yards rushing the football per game, an average of 3.6 yards per rush. That's pretty good. I'd love to see it broke down over the last 4 games because I bet that number's a lot better. I'm willing to bet that. Another reason that I like LSU's defense is they can get after the passer. 35 doesn't sound like a lot, but what that doesn't tell you is how many pressures they get on the quarterback. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And I think they'll have to disguise some blitzes and stuff like that, but I think they'll be able to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence as well. Clemson comes into the game with 41 sacks, like I previously stated. Their leading sacker, Isaiah Simmons, with 7 sacks on the year. They're giving up 112 rushing yards per game. So they're almost virtually equal on that. 3.1 yards a pop, virtually equal on that. But as far as the defense line as a whole, taking depth and everything into consideration, I might have to go with Clemson as far as giving them the edge on this, strictly because of depth. If it was up to me, I really wouldn't even talk about this next spot because I feel like they're dead even at the linebacker position. Jacob Phillips is LSU's leading tackler, 105 tackles. He wraps them up. He doesn't miss a whole lot of them. Same thing for James Skowski on the other side of the ball for Clemson. 85 tackles on the year. He don't miss a lot. He's going to make sure your defense is lined up right. So I think they're pretty even in this. I'd have to call it a wash. DBs, though, I think LSU's got a big advantage at the defensive back position. They call themselves DBU for a reason, guys. They got guys in the secondary that'll make plays and will come up and hit you in the run game. LSU's got Stingley Jr. with 6 picks, Grant Delpit with 2 picks. But let me tell you something about Grant Delpit. When he won I think it's the Thorpe Award for Best Defensive Back, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. When he won that award, I was kind of angry. I thought he was probably about the second or third best defensive back on his team, and it very well may be. But these last 2 games, he showed me something. He's come up and made plays in the run game. He hasn't given up the big play in the passing game. And he's a leader. He's an emotional leader. You can see on the sideline when they're celebrating or when they're talking, when they give up a big play, he's the one everybody's looking at. Like, what do we do next? He's the captain. So I do like Grant Delpit. Clemson, my favorite guy in their secondary is Tanner Muse. He's the one that got the game-sealing interception last week against Ohio State. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. Against Ohio State. Sealed the deal. He's got 4 on the year. He'll come up and hit you too. But overall, I don't think this position in the group's very close. In fact, I think this is the biggest gap discrepancy we have in the whole little video I'm doing. This is the biggest gap in talent. LSU big in this. Special teams. I don't like to talk about special teams, but sometimes in a game where you got pretty equal coaching, you've got pretty equal players on the field, sometimes it'll come down to special teams. LSU's place kicker is Cade York. He's 21-26 on the season, 80% efficiency rate. Where Clemson has struggled a little bit in the kicking game this year. They've got BT Potter. He's 12-20, 60%. I guess I'd give LSU the non and the place kickers. Punters are literally equal. They're both averaging 42 and some change per punt. I'm not going to break it down over the punt game. Now, what can swing momentum is if you get a block or you get a roughing call. You seen that in the Ohio State-Clemson game. I think it was like late third quarter, maybe early fourth quarter. Ohio State comes out, stops Clemson, gets the 3 and out, roughs the kicker. Roughs the punter, rather. That extends the drive. Clemson scores on that drive. So, that's a backbreaker. All right, so I talked about turnovers lost earlier. Let's talk about the turnovers forced. Again, turnovers can swing momentum quickly. So if you force them, take advantage of them. And if you're on offense, don't turn the ball over, especially in a game of this magnitude. Like I said, I think it's going to be close. So one turnover can swing the momentum. It can be a 14-point swing, and then you've lost the national championship because of a turnover. So turnovers forced, LSU with 21, Clemson with 30. LSU has done. They're positive in the turnover battle. So if you turn one over, you got to go get one. You see what I'm saying? And then take advantage of that one, score on it. And in the red zone, you want to get into you want to score a touchdown. If Ohio State scores a touchdown every time they're in the red zone, they blow out Clemson. But Clemson's defense built a wall at that goal line and they couldn't get in. It is what it is. So hats off to Clemson's defense for that. Now I just feel like I'm rambling, so I'm going to get down to my pick. I like both of these guys. I like both of these quarterbacks. I think Trevor Lawrence loses his first game as a starter. I like LSU 40-28. So I like the under, and I like LSU to cover. And I really don't have a lot of reasoning to that, other than I just think LSU probably gets a couple turnovers. I feel like Trevor Lawrence may try to do too much. They haven't played from behind a whole lot this year. I know they can't come back on Ohio State, but this is a different animal. I think they get down probably 2 scores early. He throws a pick, and then they spend the whole time trying to come back. I don't think they're able to do it. But I do think it's a decently close game. Like I said, I like LSU 40-28. So we'll see how close I am to being right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I enjoy doing these videos. So when you guys like and subscribe, it gives me a reason to do them. Thank y'all. Love y'all. Have a great day.